What's going on YouTube? Chris here, back at you with another video. Welcome to my channel. Today's discussion is going to be about poly versus lace, the final verdict after wearing a lace unit for a good 2 to 3 weeks and also having experience with a poly unit for at least several months, if not a little bit more. I feel I have, the expertise, if you will, to go ahead and discuss the pros and cons of both of those. But before we dive in case you come across this video, you like what you see in the hair department here, and you wonder where I get my hair from, I get it from Lord Hair. They offer $20 off if you use promo code PANTHERTRAIN, all capital letters. It will be in the description below. And if you're someone that came across this video and you're kind of unsure whether you want to get a hair system, if you're balding, receding, thinning, or you just plain old don't like your hair because it won't lay right, style right, whatever the case may be, and you want a solution that's going to be super cheap, you're not going to have to put weird foam Rogaine in your hair that's going to cause, may or may not cause ED and other issues, or if you don't want to have to mortgage your house or mortgage your future just to spend tens of thousands of dollars on surgery and grafts and all that junk, and you want a solution that's A, going to give you instantaneous results, B, that's going to be really affordable, really cheap, then again, you use my promo code PANTHERTRAIN, that'll get you an additional $20 off for even more savings if you buy from Lord Hair. Then if you're on the fence though, and you're still not sure if you want to get a hair system, you still have some lingering questions, please feel free to just email me. I'm going to leave my email in the description below as well. Just send me an email, say, hey, what's all involved? I came across your video. I've never really thought about a hair system, but I want to know what's involved. I like the results that you displayed here, and I want to know more. Feel free to email me, and I'll be glad to answer any questions. You will not bother me or bug me if you email me. In fact, it'll bother me or bug me more if you don't email me and ask me questions. I'm an open book. I will answer those questions for you. So getting back to the topic at hand. So poly versus lace. So one thing I want to say, guys, is I want to kind of offer a little bit of an apology here. I kind of have a habit of when I get a new unit, it's when I get a new unit, when I get anything new in life, let's just say that I tend to get really happy and excited about it the first few days or so, first couple days, and during that honeymoon phase, I kind of get happy and excited. Whatever the product may be it hair, be it a new tech toy, because I'm a techie, that I bought, I'm usually in love with it head over heels the first couple of days, and I kind of glow about it and give glowing reviews. But that's not fair to you guys. If I'm going to start doing this a little bit more often now, I want to give you the most unbiased and objective opinion about a product that I may try when it comes to hair systems, hair products, and whatnot. What I'm getting at is when I first tried the Air unit, first let me just say the Air unit that I was wearing before, the full Swiss lace unit, fantastic unit, incredible unit, it was great, but I'm going to dive into the pros and cons into it in just a few moments. But when I first made the first couple of videos, the first couple of days, I was kind of gushing over it, saying how awesome it was, how I loved it. I really didn't give you a thorough review of the pros and cons, and I don't want to come across as disingenuous or that I'm just pumping up a product just for the sake of pumping up a product. So if a lot of you were going off of my recommendation, and then if you come across this video, I don't want you to think, oh, now he's backtracking. I'm not backtracking. I meant most of what I said about that Swiss lace unit, and I still do mean it. But what I'm coming at you now is from now on, the correction I'm going to make, and it's only fair to you, my viewers, is I'm going to wait a couple weeks before I review something, let the honeymoon period die down of that new shiny object syndrome, and really get into the nitty gritty, and then come back at with you with a full, thorough, unbiased, objective review after a good couple weeks of using that product. So with that being said, that is the case with a full Swiss lace unit I was using. It's been a couple weeks since I had it on. I think I feel that I've experienced enough of it to give you guys a real honest opinion now. So let me go ahead and preface this by saying that there's really not going to be a clear winner where I'm going to be holding up the hand of the champ, so to speak. Yay, the winner is poly, the winner is lace, ding, 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 round over. It's not that cut and dry. I'm gonna give you my experience, what my lifestyle is like, and what your lifestyle might be like, and what might be best for you. So one thing I notice about the poly unit is let me get back. One thing I notice about the full Swiss lace unit is the base material, the lace material, is kind of a little bit of an off brown, off tan color. You probably can't notice it here, but when I hold my arm out, compare it to my skin tone and my skin color, you can kind of see there's a variance in color between the actual color of the lace unit versus my skin tone. Why is this important? I'll tell you why. The last video that I made, a couple of you commented that the hairline looked a little off, and I thought it did too, but I thought it was my imagination. So I went back in the mirror and looked at it, and there wasn't anything that I could point to. Like, it wasn't like crooked. I couldn't really find anything tangible that was making the hairline look off. off. But then I figured it out. I had my aha moment. It's because the color of the lace unit is more of a tan brown color. If your skin tone doesn't match up with that brown, if your skin tone around your hairline doesn't match up with that brownish kind of tan color that it is, then it's going to look a little off when you expose your hairline or you slick back your hair. It's probably not going to look very noticeable, but it's going to look enough off to trigger that lizard brain in people, so to speak, where something's not going to sit quite right. But it's kind of one of those things like you look at like, something's not quite right. I don't know what it is, but there's something a little bit off. It's just enough to trigger that kind of response, subconscious response in people. So that's one thing I finally figured out of why the hairline did look a little off, is because the color of the actual unit, the base material, if it doesn't match if your skin tone isn't that color brown as a unit, the base material is, and it is going to look a little off because you have your skin color and then you have where the hairline of the unit starts, and there can be that variation that's going to go ahead and make it look a little bit off. So that's one thing I noticed I didn't particularly care for. Versus a poly model, if you notice on the poly unit, it's clear. So basically you're going to see straight through the poly unit onto your scalp. So it's going to be 100% match. This is actually the poly unit, and the reason why the hairline looks pretty good now is because, well, I think it looks good in my opinion, is because it's the poly material is a see-through, so it's obviously going to match a one-on-one match of what your skin color is when scalp is exposed, versus when the hairline is exposed on the Swiss lace unit, there's going to be a little variance. Unless your skin is 100% match and you're lucky, it 100% matches that slightly brown color of the lace. It's not that noticeable, but noticeable enough to make it look a little off. So that's one thing I will say I will give, I think the poly unit wins in that regard, is that the poly is see-through, and your scalp is just going to look natural because it's see-through. Another thing that I noticed, and I don't know if this is because this is a light density unit that I was wearing, but I noticed a lot of shedding. I really didn't mention it in my other videos simply because I thought it was something like all new systems experience, that you're going to have shedding. It's going to happen for the first few days until it settles down. But I got to be honest, guys, even a week and a half in, I did notice quite a bit of shedding. Even when I would just run my fingers through it when it was dry, I would notice 1 or 2 hairs. But in the shower and when styling it especially, I started noticing several hairs. Now again, the flip side on it, even though it is a light density unit, there's still a lot of hair, so you could still probably get 2 to 3 months out of it before it started looking really thinning. But the great one thing I like about the poly unit is because it starts out so dense, because it's a medium dense for the poly unit, is it kind of starts out so dense to begin with that you have a lot of room for error for shedding. So when several months passes, you are going to, it's still going to look nice and full because it was a dense unit to begin with. So that's one thing I did kind of notice. I wonder if it's because if it's a light density unit, the hairs on the unit itself were thinner as well, so they were more fine and prone to breakage. That could have been one reason. But that's kind of one thing I kind of didn't like after wearing it for a couple weeks and noticing the shedding was kind of a everyday occurrence. Now, things that I absolutely loved about the Air unit, the fact that it was light density, if you want like a longer flowy style, I mentioned this in my previous video, then light density is the way to go. If you want a longer 3 to 3.5 inches or longer hairstyle, and you want kind of that kind of swooped over flowy look where it's kind of long, light density is 100% the way to go because it's going to look natural long, versus you can do long hair on a poly medium density unit. It's not going to look quite as natural as a light density unit though, because you have a lot of dense, the unit itself is dense enough on the medium density unit, but then the hair being long is also going to add to the kind of it having that more noticeable look. So I will say the winner as far as what the hair looks like when you're wearing a kind of a longer kind of flowy style is definitely going to be the light density Air unit model. Breathability, I mean, this one doesn't need any explanation. Lace is always going to win over poly as far as breathability and having the most natural feel on your actual head, because there's like little mini holes in it. It's a lace unit. Your head can breathe. You can do a tape around the perimeter and your head's breathing. You feel a breeze on your head because there's those microscopic holes in the lace. So that doesn't need further explanation. As far as comfortability, whoa, is that even a word? But you know what I'm getting at. As far as that is concerned, as far as what feels the most natural on your head, I'm going to have to say the winner on that is a Swiss lace. What else? Hairline, I'm going to have to go to the poly unit. If you go back and watch my last video and then watch this video, you can just clearly see the hairline just looks on the poly unit more natural, like the hair is almost like grown out of my head. That's one thing I will give the edge to as far as the hairline is a poly unit. cleanup is a wash. A lot of you were asking what's a cleanup like versus lace and poly. The cleanup, I did the full tape perimeter on the lace, just trying it out. The tape was a little bit harder than I expected to get off. It's still the cleanup. So here's what I'll say about the two. So the cleanup is easier on the poly unit. The cleanup, wait. The cleanup is easier on the Swiss lace with using tape, but then it takes a little bit more time to apply it because you have to be a little bit more finicky with the tape. Sometimes you'll peel the tape back, it'll mess up. You got to crumble it up and get a new piece of tape out and try again. So the amount of time it takes that combined with the cleanup still comes out to about the amount of time with the maintenance on a poly, in my opinion. Now, in case you're wondering, so as far as cleanup goes, the cleanup time was give or take a wash. I mean, it was the same cleanup process. I sprayed the lace release on my head, sprayed the lace release, the C22 on the unit itself, and I just took a towel and just took all the excess glue off, or the tape off, and that was the same thing. So I really didn't notice a difference in cleanup between the two. If you're someone that, by the way, if you're getting back to the breathability point, if you're someone that sweats a lot, works out a lot, hits a gym, you CrossFit, you do whatever, or you work outside and you sweat a lot, Swiss lace is going to be for you because you're going to have that breathability, and it's going to, the sweat's going to, have somewhere to escape. It's not going to go through with the poly, closing in on your head where it completely covers your head. The lace has that breathability to it. So I will give the edge to that, definitely in that regard to the Air Swiss lace model. So you might be, wondering, okay, so it seems like the Swiss lace is winning on points here. Why do I personally prefer the poly unit? To me, guys, it has to do with, I still like bond. It's really hard to do full bond on a lace because the glue, even if you wait for it to dry on your head, it's still going to come through the lace a little bit and stick the hair together at the root, and it's really not a good look at all, and it's a pain to get it out. And also, the tape is a little bit easier to maintain when you take it off. One thing I noticed though with tape, you have a lot of lift, and you can't see it because the hair is covering it, so it's not going to be visible, but you do have a lot of lifting on the edges and the sides because with tape, you can't get 100% coverage on the full base unit on tape because you're only doing the perimeter. Whereas with the bond, I would literally put bond all over my head. Hairline, the whole, every square inch of where the unit's going to go is covered with bond, so you get a more secure feel for it on the edges. So again, this is why I said there's not a clear winner. Like there's not, oh yeah, Swiss lace wins no matter what. It really depends on your lifestyle. For me personally, I don't work, I hate to admit this, but I really don't work out. I don't sweat. I work in a kind of a cushy office job, or I work indoors where I'm pretty much spend 99% of my life, 95% of my life in room temperature. I don't sweat easily. Even though I live in South Carolina, a hot climate, I just always stay in room AC temperature pretty much most of my life. So poly doesn't bother me. I know a lot of people say, oh, when you sweat with a poly and bond, it's awful, or you can feel the heat, it makes you hotter. I don't notice that because I don't sweat that much. I don't stay hot. I'm always in an AC controlled climate environment. I also like the idea of bond. I mean, the tape was okay, but this is just a personal preference. I just like the idea of shaking up the Ghost Bond Platinum, putting something on my head, brushing it, and then laying the unit down, and I'm good to go. The tape is just a little bit more finicky. You got to get it lined up right. You got to kind of peel that material off, make sure you get that right. And it's just a little bit more, it kind of grinds my anxiety because I'm an impatient person a little bit more. Bond for me, squirt the bond, brush it, lay the unit down, I'm good to go. I also prefer, one thing I do like about the reason why I prefer the poly medium density model is because longevity. I'm all about doing this for the most cheapest possible route you can possibly take. That's why I said this unit, I have about 3.5 months on it. I just put this is the poly unit, the S22 model. I have about 3.5 months on it. I think I'm going to get about another 2 to 3 more months as well. So I think that I'm really going to get a good amount of life on the unit, and I'm really about doing this as cheap as possible. So when you have a lot of shedding like that, like on the Air model with a light density unit, you're just only going to get 2 to 3 months out of it versus 5 to 6 months I think I'm going to get with the poly unit. And that, 5 to 6 months, that's only 2 units you're buying a year, guys. That is super duper cheap. And maybe I'm a cheapskate, I don't know. But I just like the idea of a medium dense unit starting out with a lot of hair and giving yourself a lot of room for air when you're going to cut it down, or if you're shedding, because even if you shed a lot, it's going to take months and months before you actually notice it start thinning out, where it has that thin kind of ball balding look because there's just so much hair on it. So that's pretty much what I have for you guys. It's really, at the end of the day, you're going to be happy with either option, because either option is going to look phenomenal. It's going to feel phenomenal. The super thin skin poly, this is the S22 model I've been wearing in my last videos I've had for a few months now. Feels amazing. The Swiss lace feels amazing, but it's just all based on your lifestyle and what you like and what you prefer, what hairstyle you want. If you want the longer hair, go with the light density. If you don't want to be too noticeable with your hair unit, and if you're a little bit older, I would say 45 years plus, go with the light density. There's a lot of factors that if you sweat a lot, if you exercise a lot, and you want the most comfortable system, because by far, in my opinion, the Swiss lace so far is the most comfortable unit you'll get, the superfine Swiss lace, because it just feels so natural on your head, you won't even know it's there. Poly unit's thin there too, you won't know it's there either, but even though the Swiss lace, you feel that breathability if you do a tape perimeter, so it really matches your preference. If you're like me, and you don't care, you don't sweat a lot, you want more of a dense unit with a lot of hair, you want the flexibility of being able to cut it and wear like a textured look like this. If you like full bond over tape, go with the poly unit. So it's really, at the end of the day, going to be your decision, but I just kind of want to throw that out there and review both of them so you guys have a fair understanding of both and what my opinions are on both of them. So until next video, that's what I have for you guys, and hope you guys got a lot out of this. Peace.